We're here today to discuss this thing that's above the fence line here. We've got here what they're calling designated camping areas. They talk about waste disposal, campfires and firewood. This is what they expect the general public to walk over, carrying all their bits and pieces and camping equipment and what have you. And as we can see down there, you've got about 1.5 km walking through people's paddocks, 1.5 km to the watercourse where they expect people to camp. The issue that's coming up is biosecurity on farmland, agricultural biosecurity. And to people who don't know, to farmers, biosecurity is an enormous issue. The problems with disease and the transfer of noxious weed seeds and all that kind of thing which can get into your crops is absolutely enormous. Farmers, in fact, can get enormous fines for breaching biosecurity laws themselves. It's a very, very serious issue because if we get a disease into our agricultural sector, that can devastate our food production, our livestock, our cropping, even the bees.
I just hate to think what's going to happen. Like the biosecurity really for us, we grow beef, we grow fat lamb, we also have wool and we do cropping and all those, everything's going to be, if we get any diseases to come onto the place, we do not spray, clean and green type thing, if you know what I mean.
Chemical free.
We had no problems with any issues with health regulations with our stock. So, and it comes right around to the back of our house. To see that past that pepper tree down there, there's a fence line down there, and it all comes all the way around to there. That's how close it is to the house. So we can't even leave the farm now because we won't know who's wandering around. So if they've been places where they're going to bring back foot and mouth or whatever, we've got no control on it. So there's a lot of issues.
From the point of view of personal security, you've got people who can hop over a thing like this and disappear into the bush areas down here. The safety risk to families and so forth is just horrendous. With the amount of farm thefts that go on, people have things stolen from farms all the time, and this kind of a setup just gives possible criminals another avenue to look and see at what you have that they might be interested in stealing. So particularly if you have livestock in paddocks, you may have bulls running around in paddocks. You know, if a bull took to somebody going down here, well, they're just dead.
So who's liable if something like that happens?
We're actually liable for what happens.
Yeah. There's all kind of government-owned land that you can't just walk onto. You just don't have access to it because they stop you for many, many reasons. And, you know, the same thing should apply here. I know if you go into state forests to collect wood, you know, there's a big problem there. You can be fined, you can be all sorts of things. Here, they're allowing people to just start campfires wherever they want. So this is a disaster. I'm ex-CFA brigade captain. Now you've got open regions here where if you get fires going, the thing goes wild, you know.
My name is Jude Hannah and I'm very concerned about these Crown water frontage campsites. City people need to realise that without this great country and the protection of it, we're screwed. Due to the lockdowns, I was forced to work from home. It all began back in lockdown when I had a home invasion. I was home on my own and I noticed this woman walk past my door. She was in quite a state. She was quite angry. She was asking for ice. She was going through fridges. She was demanding money, cigarettes. She wanted me to take her to Bendigo. And I knew I was in a really tough space. And I managed to get that enough strength up to say, you need to get off my property right now. I got her on the road. She was yelling and screaming. And then a kind neighbour, as we do, picked her up and took her to Serpentine to find out it had been ransacked. Jump forward 2 years, here am I standing defending my rights again. I don't want another home invasion. We've had an increase of people stealing equipment. We know that there's courteous people in the world and we welcome them in. But why are we doing this? Is this part of the Andrews government push to, well, we've locked you Melbourne people up for a long time, now we're opening up lovely water frontages for you to have recreation. Well, it's screwing with our lives and it's got to stop. I decided to ring up DELP, who was actually doing this rollout, and I inquired as to why they're sending out assessments when I have a potential biosecurity weed control overlay on our area, which is about 1,000 acres. They didn't get back to me until the article went into the Loddon Herald, which was talking about the situation we are here about today. When they finally got back to me yesterday morning, they were not quite sure about the overlay. I said, you're doing a desktop search for these areas, you're sending out assessments, you're putting me into panic because I've had home invasion, and you're not ticking the boxes. I said it's a disgrace. When I questioned her further about this silverleaf nightshade weed, she said, oh, look, my gut feel is it won't be a problem. Seeds of weed spread with the wind, people underfoot. So it's just really... So I was kind of placated and, you know, oh, I'm so sorry to hear your plight, but she firmly stated that this was part of the election push. She said, we're coming up to an election. We've been told to push these out, to roll them out, which they're forging ahead with. I was told that I should contact my local members. I then got off the phone and started to become quite proactive around notifying, talking with Colleen, talking to other farmers, you know, making sure that this gets out. How can we control scar trees and all of those great assets down on our creeks if people are just marching in? I have a very good friend who's an executive officer of Lifeline, and Lifeline are even talking about that they're concerned about the increase of calls that they'll get from farmers. The farming industry is already stressed to the max. Turner's Crossing, which is a fantastic winery, very tight biosecurity, organic farm, went through a lot of hoops with the government to get their status. DELP just walked in without announcement, deemed their site a site to be on. We have got free sites around. We don't need additional burdens. I always say, what's the call to action? For your people who are listening out there, what can you do? You can certainly be effective at your state elections. We can't have the Andrews government in, and I'm quite clear about that. He's destroying us. Get the hell out of here, Dan Andrews. I'm very emotional about this. This really upsets me. Please don't allow these government departments to push us around to be dictated to, because we are out here because we love our freedom.
I'm a third generation farmer myself, and this is big stuff. This is a big deal. Not only can we not have the Andrews government in power after the next election, because they're just doing whatever they want, and I'm really struggling to know where the opposition is, whether they're, I don't know, they've gone on strike or holiday, or they're dead in the water or something, I don't know. They should be screaming from the rooftops about this. Get amongst it, people, because this is your bread and butter. This is the deal here, and our farmers are in incredible trouble with this sort of stuff, and if you see one here, it's not going to be long before you see them popping up all over the place. You know, we're seeing it fall to quite a number of the smaller parties and independents to raise these issues and bang the drum.
I actually contacted the local mayor of the Shire, Dan Straub, and Dan had no idea that there were 21 sites currently on the Loddon Shire. They had been told by DELP that they were doing 2 test sites, and he was unaware. So when I directed him to the DELP website, which is like looking at a glossy Airbnb, if you go on the DELP website, you'll see there's 21 sites and lots of photographs, where to park, making it as if you're going on a tropical island holiday, when in actual fact you're coming into areas where people are angry and they're hurt, and it's not your fault. It's not DELP's fault, because the people on the ground are actually acting. They're being pushed by the Andrews government. So I'm telling you now, we've got to do something about this. The Andrews government might be doing something for you in the metropolitan areas in Melbourne. He's done nothing and won't do anything for us. Come up here, Dan Andrews, I'd like to have a chat to you.
So what do you think's pushing them to do it?
Land grab. I actually think the big plan here is, you know, I said to my partner, well, we might as well sell up, but we'll get nothing for our land, because who will want to buy it? And a bit like who owns all the land in America? Bill Gates. Who's going to own our land? Government. That's what they want. The day, and I watched your earlier videos talking about the channel system, and the day they put the pipes in meant that the government could cha-ching the money in for that. So it's been a slow, crippling manipulation that's been going on for far too long. We've had enough.
Why do you think that the government is doing the land grabbing, and what are they going to do with the land, do you think, once they get it?
Well, they'll be able to control food source. They'll be able to control what goes in food. It's all part of the massive control, and you know, I'm not a fatalist, but I definitely think if we continue on this trajectory, we're really in danger. Colleen even spoke to another party member, and when asked what he's going to do about it, said nothing. We know inevitably the land grab's in place, but if we don't educate everybody around this, it'll go quicker than we think.
It's been my overwhelming experience that if people in the cities, in Melbourne or what have you, if they are aware, if we can get the information to them and get them to understand where things are at, the support from city people for the agricultural sector, for our farmers, is enormous. The Andrews government here in Victoria just rides roughshod over everybody, and they've got their spin doctors in mostly the mainstream media, and they sell it for them. They make out that there's something fantastic when in fact they're not. So through the avenue of people like the social media people who are here today and doing these stories, we hope to grow this. We've got the election coming up at the end of November. There are a lot of freedom parties and a lot of independents who are pushing for the freedom thing with regard to the COVID-19 and the horrendous lockdowns and all the other rubbish that's gone on with it, and the medical policies which have cost lives, simple as that. We need to get the small parties and the freedom parties in on these issues that we're talking about right now and get democracy back to where it's supposed to be. We're probably just about done here before everybody gets hypothermia. And,
no, I don't think so. I think we need to go camping.
Yeah, that's it. Hang on, we'll light up a few fires and burn everything down.
So the house is right up there, and this is where they're saying people can come camping and doing whatever they like.
With one little PCR test or whatever, if there's animals involved or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
There's been farms around here. There's hives that the farm was closed down, and when the people asked for any little bit of proof that someone had got this disease that their bees were supposedly spreading, they were told, we don't have to tell you that because it's privacy. So they can use privacy as an excuse for anything whatsoever. They don't have to give you any information. And now we've got foot and mouth disease looming. The news broke about foot and mouth disease, and they did not even they did not shut down the flights from Bali because it's in Bali. They did not shut down the Bali flights to and from Australia. They did not even make people clean their shoes or sanitise their shoes, the tourists coming in. But yet there was this big threat looming, and it was calculated, I think Warwick Long calculated it, the industry at 70 billion with a B was at risk. 70 billion was our beef industry that would be at risk if foot and mouth disease got into our country. That would be all our food gone, all our meat protein gone, and they weren't even doing anything about it. Apparently now they do. People have to wash their shoes through a bucket of whatever, but back then, no.
What is the government doing around the biosecurity measures? How do they say it's okay to come on to Crown land and then trample across people's private property, that little wooden Trojan horse arch across? That really isn't going to stop people. People, once they want to get in, Colleen's already had people parked in the driveway, suspicious people parked in the driveway. Local police are actually up in arms about it too because they know they'll be inundated.
You just mentioned silver nightshade weed. There's many other weeds and pests that are spread through people's shoes and on car tyres. We know that. We spend seasons dealing with these weeds. I'm on my hands and knees with ground snakes pulling out, because I work on an organic farm, pulling out all of these weeds that are spread through shoes and car tires, you know? We have separate gumboots in the farm we work for anybody that's coming off another farm. We stop them at the gate, we make them change their shoes and wear brand new separate gumboots that the farmer has bought, just to ensure that people who have walked on another farm are not coming onto our farm and giving our cows and calves diseases.
Yeah.
And here we've got no regulation, just because the Labour government wants to say, hello everybody, we're going to make all these river frontages free for you to camp on. Aren't we lovely? Aren't we nice? Summer's coming, the fire season's coming, and you can all come and camp on the rivers because we said you can.
We've already had an infestation this year of bugs, so we're seriously thinking about pulling our chilies out because of what's coming down the line.
As Jude said, we've got plenty of free camping all the way down the Loddon. There's plenty along this river.
So there's no real need really to be opening up people's properties. Yeah.
There's ample places.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Ample. And I think what the government don't realise is that they're actually putting us in a position where we have to be not only the caretakers of the camps, the police of the camps, because I'm sure DELP won't be having a little tent set up at every site to man these areas, and it'll be, we have to raise the warning, how long it will take for them to come out to these locations. People are not used to currents, or they're not used to, you can see the logs in the river. The drownings, I mean, how many drownings have we had in the state? Look, it's so numerous, it's just ludicrous. And of course we know when enough people die from injury or things happening, they'll have to change the law. So, yeah.
All right, we have to go for the radio? Yes. All right.
Thank you for watching my video. As well as these videos, I'm also creating an education resource platform called True Arrow Academy of Critical Thinking, or TACT for short. TACT will be an alternative education resource platform that's non-woke and non-indoctrinating, with each lesson being a potential turning point in a young learner's understanding on a range of important topics. TACT will evolve into many hundreds of animations and filmed lessons written, run and influenced by an exceptional mix of academic heavyweights teaching against the grain, with lessons encouraging open discussion, critical thinking and debate. TACT's duty of care is to arm and shield youth against modern, subversive, mainstream education. Supporters will be the lifeblood of TACT. If you would like to support this project, let's build this together at givesendgo.com/TACT. Thank you so much.